What's going on, you guys? Today we're going to be learning the new song Fluorescent by Switchfoot. This is the second single off of their upcoming record Interrobang. And dude, this is like my new favorite song. Interrobang? Because apparently that's punctuation. Anyway, I love this song, and I'm going to teach it to you in about 5 seconds. But real quick, I just wanted to mention that I do offer private online lessons over Skype or Zoom or FaceTime or whatever works best for you, and I'm willing to give you your first lesson for free. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, my email will be down in the description box below. Let's get into it. You are watching Logan's Lessons. This song can be played either on your electric guitar or your acoustic guitar, whichever floats your boat, but the recording uses a combination. For simplicity's sake, today I'm going to be teaching you on the electric. Let's start with the intro. We're going to place our first finger on the 7th fret of our A string. And then our middle finger will be placed on the 8th fret of our D. This is our first chord shape. The strumming pattern changes a bit, but the same rhythmic feel stays consistent. For this first shape, the first time we are going to play it like this. Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. I will do that slowly. Down, 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 down. With me. Down, 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 down. If you chunk that up, it's 4 downs, then a single down, 4 downs, and then 3 downs. So 4, 1, 4, 3. Faster. One more time. Okay, so that is the first shape. Moving from here to the next chord is actually quite simple. We leave our first finger where it is and on the D string. Instead of your middle finger on the 8th fret, we are going to put our third finger on the 9th fret of our D. This is an E major power chord. Then our third shape is simply our pinky on the 10th fret of our D, so 1 fret further out. Then we go back to the E major, and then to the first shape that we had. Okay, so now let's talk strumming with those 3 chords I just showed you. It's exactly the same as the previous chord, but each of those last 3 strums gets a different chord. So we have E augmented, E power chord, and then E diminished. So that whole thing being down, 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 down. Those last 3. If I play what we just learned slowly. Play it with me. Faster. And now with the previous part. Okay, so on the second time through that, the only thing that changes is the strumming of the first chord. It starts with a down, 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 but then after that, it is just 5 quarter note down strums. So, and then the stays the same. That, my friends, is the intro. Then we get into the verse, which is a bit more conventional in terms of chord progression. We're going to go from that E major power chord that we learned earlier, where we have our first finger on the 7th fret of our A string and our third finger on the 9th fret of our D. From there we go to a C major power chord, which is the same shape, but we just moved down so that our first finger is on the 3rd fret of our A, and our third finger is on the 5th fret of our D. Should sound like that. So we have an E major power chord down to a C major. Moving on, we have a G power chord, which is just the C power chord moved up a string so that your index finger is on the 3rd fret of your E string and your third finger is on the 5th fret of your D. It should sound like that. Last chord, we simply slide the shape up so that our first finger is on the 7th fret of our low E string, and our third finger is on the 9th fret of our A. it should sound like that. So we have an E major to a C to a G up to a B. Then you simply do 16th note down strums for every chord, palm muted. So I like to think of the verses in part A's and part B's. Part A being what I just showed you. Part B is slightly different. You go through the first two chords as you would normally. And then you play the second part of the intro. And so the verses go part A, part B, part A, part B. And then there's a little pre-chorus build-up if you want to call it that. But before we get to that, let's play through the verse together. I will play part A, then part B. Okay, so that is the verse. Let's get this pre-chorus thingamajig. First out of the two chords we have is an F sharp, which is like the G power chord we learned in the verse, just a fret closer to your headstock. And then we have an E major power chord, but instead of doing it up here, we're going to do it down here. See how that's kind of like a power chord shape. All you have to do is put your first finger on the second fret of your A string and let only your low E string and A string ring out. And as for strumming, it is the same as the verse, but it is a build-up. So you start soft and palm muted and gradually work your way up to a loud and, well, not palm muted. That gets us into the chorus of this song. The chorus starts with our first finger on the 5th fret of our low E string. We play it twice like this, and then we jump to the octave with our ring finger on the 7th fret of our D string. So, and then we hit a C sharp note with our index finger on the 4th fret of our A. And then you kind of slide that off like this. So that first chord will sound like this. The second one follows that same rhythm, but it starts on an F sharp note, which is the 2nd fret of our low E string. It also jumps the octave to the 4th fret of our D, and then the 3rd note is a G, the 3rd fret of our low E string. If I play what we have so far together, so from there we go to a D note, the 5th fret of our A string, which we play as an up, up, down, up, down, up, down. And we move from there to the 4th fret of our A string, which is an up, down. Then we go back to the F sharp minor, which does a down, up on the low E string, and then a down, up on the D, the 4th fret of our D, just like we did earlier. And then we move that shape up a fret so that our first finger is on the 3rd fret. We do the same strumming pattern. Make sure your 3rd finger is on the 5th fret of your D. Okay, so if I play the whole chorus slowly. Play it with me slowly. Moving on, we get to the second verse, which starts out with the intro, but you drop off the first chord for the first time through. So we have a moment of silence, and then the second part of the intro. Back to the first part. and then the second part again. And we are into the normal chord progression. That drops us into chorus 2, which is the same as chorus 1, but it's twice as long, and the second time through you have the option of playing power chords. The power chords are the same shape as in the verse, but we are going to start on the 5th fret of our low E string. And our second chord is the 4th fret of our A. Notice. So. Then the 2nd fret of our E string power chord. And our 3rd fret. And then from the 5th fret of our A string to the 4th fret of the same string. And finally, the 2nd fret of our low E string again. And finally up to the 3rd. So if I play the chorus with the power chords, it'll sound like this. So the strumming pattern for that is simply up, up, down, up for each chord, and it is worthy to mention that the chords don't start on the 1. They start on the offbeat, so up, up, down, up, down, up, 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 down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up. Do it with me. That is chorus 2. Following that, we have a guitar solo. This starts on the 6th fret of our G string. That note holds out there for like a couple light years, and then we do the same note 4 times in a row. So, and then we do a walk down to the 4th fret, to the 2nd fret, to the 1st. So, play it with me. Then we go back up to the 2nd fret, back to the 1st, to the 4th fret of our D string, and finally the 4th fret of our A. So, if I play that slowly, play it with me. Faster now, with both parts. Finally, the last lick we have is the 4th fret of our A string. Yes, you play it again. To the 2nd fret of our D, to the 4th fret of our D, and finally the 2nd fret of our A. Play it with me. Faster. And one last time. So if we play the whole solo, so that puts us into the bridge where there's really no guitar in the bridge, and then after that there's this like down section, which is just playing the verse chords. Stop there. And right after that we have a chorus that is identical to chorus 2, where on the second half of it you're playing the power chords that I mentioned earlier, and you just end on that G of the end of the chord progression. And that is the song Fluorescent. If you have a song request, please comment it. To be notified of future videos, hit the bell. I sincerely hope that you are well. Please hit that like button blue. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe too. I hope this video has been a blessing. You've been watching Logan's Lessons.